Welcome to the Weekly Pistol Podcast. At the end of this hour, we want you better than when we started.
Yeah. What's good?
Hello.
Woo!
Would you like to comment on my shirt first?
I would. I do like it. I like it. We're going to get banned from YouTube.
Whatever.
We're totally going to get banned from YouTube.
That's my plan.
Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe for more breastises.
Like and subscribe. That's what. So, before we get started, Veronica, did you get the numbers from Blue Help?
I do
Look them
not.
up real
I can
quick.
look 'em up.
So normally,
They're going up like crazy, though.
yeah. So normally I don't get too serious, but I'll get serious at the beginning of this podcast because over the last week, I believe it's week and a half, there have been 4 of the Capitol officers that took their lives.
Yeah.
So, like I've always said, we don't talk politics or religion. We make fun of them. But it definitely is something to be mentioned when it comes to 4 police officers from the same department in the same incident have taken their lives.
Right. And not suicide-wise, but the Chicago officer that that got ambushed and
Yeah, she was only 29.
lost her life.
3 years on.
Yeah,
Violence.
I know.
Did you get the stats yet?
I'm looking. I can't find them.
Jeez.
All right,
late for everything.
introduce.
Yes, we have.
Anyways, all the way down south from the T-Town. He started as a little G. Now he's a big G. Also known as an OG. He's a big homie. Zach's in the house. And if you follow us on Discord, which we've talked about before, it's Boogie Z. He's my crewmate on GTA. Great. Just for the podcast, I'm going to, the snapshot that they give you for YouTube, the thumbnail.
Yeah.
I'm going to put Boogie Z's face in GTA on there. It's fucking dope. You guys, people are going to be all, look, who's that Boogie Z right there?
Who is that criminal?
So, although it may seem like the podcast has been all about Tanya, because we've done 2 podcasts
Right.
already, we took it one step further to the next level, and we brought in your brother, who...
My twinsy.
Yeah.
No, we're not
Yeah.
twins.
Well, we might be.
Yeah.
He makes me look my normal size compared to Tony. Tiny Tony next to
Tiny
me
Tony.
last week was
Mama Tony's not going to be happy about that one. Tiny Tony.
Tiny Tony.
Oh, that's it. So he's Teabag and Tiny Tony. Jesus, that poor guy.
Poor kid. No
Oh,
wonder
fuck
he's
him.
a
He's a second.
firefighter.
He's a second responder. Nobody gives a fuck. So, with regards to your shirt, we have discovered, because we're not 21 or 22.
Right.
We're twice that, I think, and we've decided and determined that apparently what you have on is what gets views.
Yes,
Okay.
because I am new to TikTok and Instagram, and apparently boobs are where it's at.
Yeah,
So I brought some extras today.
there's a lot there. It's a lot there.
Try and focus.
I'll try,
on the podcast.
but they're out there. They're out there. And who knows, if we get enough views and subscribers from that shirt, I'll buy one, and then we can both pose or,
You guys better like and
Wait, are you
subscribe
doing like
because
chick boobs or like dude chest?
Chick boobs.
chick boobs. Who wants to see man boobs? What the hell? Nobody wants to see man
Female
boobs.
tops and stuff.
Yeah, no, nobody wants to see man boobs. We'll start an OnlyFans
You
or
can't ask
something.
Tanya.
We'll
Clearly,
start-
she doesn't want to.
Speaking of which, if it does take off, maybe we can convince Veronica for OnlyFans for her feet, because I seen a lot of those pull down a couple grand a month. Where
I told you if I do
swimming.
that, I'm keeping the money.
Oh, that's creepy.
Dirty.
I'll
That's
donate. I'll
creepy.
donate a percentage.
Yeah,
You went too far
they're
with
gonna
feet.
like your pinky toes.
Ew.
Okay, so we wanted to bring Zach on because he has the unique experience of working with me, see me go through my shit,
Yeah.
and then his sister, who we offline discovered he had no fucking idea what was going on,
Which will be interesting.
which we'll get to.
Yeah.
So as of now, 89 officers. What was it last week? 84, something like that?
84. 5 again this week?
We're up to, it's fucking ridiculous.
Gosh.
So, real quick, if you like what you're hearing, subscribe. And it freaks me out. I talked to Tanya about this. I'm like, I'm not 21. I can't do the whole, hey, like and subscribe. If you like it, check out my Instagram. I can't do it.
You know,
You did a good job. That was pretty good.
I don't like it.
we're spending a lot of time and effort trying to get an officer's help. And if that's all you can do, then do it for us.
Right.
Yeah,
Like
you
and
fucking do it on
subscribe.
TikTok anyways. You
Yeah.
watch the same guys all over and over again. I
Yeah.
do. I'm addicted to it.
You don't hurt nobody.
So, real quick, that part of it is what we're going to talk about, the uniqueness that you saw, Zach. We want you to be just completely honest.
Okay.
Right? And we'll be honest too. We're not trying to throw anybody under the bus, but we want our viewers and their families to understand from an outside perspective.
Okay.
And you know, I tell my wife all the time, my whole career wasn't bad. Like I would
Right.
do it again. And part of the reason my career was as great and fun as it was is because your brother,
Yeah.
right? He's just a lighter shade of brown, and as far as I was concerned, he was just another Mexican in the car with me.
And we really haven't, other than, you know, sitting here a couple of minutes before we started, we haven't had these discussions. So
No.
this really is going to be a
It's what
surprise.
we call a family meeting.
Yeah.
Family
Family
meeting.
meeting.
So real
boy.
quick with a family story. So one of the funniest stories that I have with Zach, and I'm going to prep it for you because I don't think I've ever heard anything like this before. So when I first met your brother, he'd come over from Superstitions Precinct, which was all the way far east, and he came to the hardcore side of town, the west side, where all the dangerous people were. And he comes on. He's on. I think he was on my sister's squad, or were you on my squad? I don't remember.
Sister Squad.
Sister squad.
Yep.
So we hit it off immediately.
Shocker.
Yeah, same time frame, same music, same stupidity. We were doing magic in the car. Like, I was like, Zach, check out the new magic trick. And he's like, do it again. You know, people are calling for help. We're like, hold on a second. We're trying to figure this out. Zach, how'd you do that?
Like a 10-year-old.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God,
You're
you're
like,
amazing.
holy shit.
Are you a wizard?
Yeah. So one day we tried to get lunch, which I don't think I ever had a full lunch in my career. We go to this little, I don't know, Chiba Hut or something to get lunch. Him and I, we check off, and we go sit down, and the radio, we turn it down just a little bit, and the hot tone comes out, and it's a subject shot, and it's literally what? Maybe a block away
Yeah, a
from where we're eating. And we kind of look at each other like, I didn't hear that if you didn't hear that because I'm hungry.
Yeah. I'm starving.
And so we're like, fuck.
But then you did the right thing.
We did the right thing.
Yeah.
We have values. Plus, was somebody shot, so we were like, fuck it. You know, it's cool shit.
Yeah.
Right.
So we're riding separate cars, and I get in my car, take off. He's coming behind me. He's still learning the area, but he's following me. And it's literally like a street turn away. And we turn in, I turn in like hard skids. And there's a guy, he's on the ground, and he's face up. And I see him, and I thought, oh, shit. It's real life crime right here. And I jump out, and I run to him, and he's got a bullet hole right above his eye. But he's alive, and he's breathing, and his eyes are moving, and I'm like, oh, shit. Stay with me, brother. So I start doing the whole, all right, man, it's okay. The ambulance coming, stay with me.
Second
Okay.
responders are on the way.
Yeah. And so I'm going to let Zach take it from here.
Oh.
So I'm standing over him, and I'm like, bro, stay with me. Fire's on the way. You can hear the sirens. And what Zach rolls up.
Yeah.
And he comes running. And what happens?
So I run up to the guy and I'm looking at him and I was like, oh, this looks pretty interesting. So I say, I'm like, so I was trying to get some information for the next people coming in. So I was like, hey, bro, do you know who shot you? You know, where they at? What's their names? This and that. And Google's just sitting there holding pressure on the guy. And this dude looks up at me and he goes, can I get some motherfucking medical attention? And I was like, hold on a second. I said, the fire department will be right here, bro, but I need to know who shot you. He goes, I've been shot in the head. And I go, yeah. And apparently you've also been shot in your chest twice.
Oh.
He wasn't the nicest guy in the world.
It was the funniest shit I think I've ever seen, because your brother comes and he stands over him, and he's not a small guy. How tall are you?
6'5".
Yeah, 6'5". So here's this guy catching his last breaths, right? And I'm not gonna say race because it doesn't matter, but
Right.
he's standing over this 6'5" white guy, And all Zach is like, hey, who shot you? Who shot you? Who shot you? And he's kind of like perplexed, like, motherfucker. But when he spews those words, I couldn't stop laughing. Could not stop laughing. And just like you said the last time about catching bad guys, that was your brother's main goal.
That's always
Fuck
the
fact
main
that
goal.
the guy shot in the head.
Well, it's not like we're not trained on the whole medical stuff. I get it. We put pressure. We stick the whatever on the whatever.
Reassure him.
Yeah.
You're not going to die.
Yeah.
Help is coming,
go to the
bro.
light.
Right.
Don't
know,
go to the light.
We are there to get the information out, and then
Right.
the medical personnel does the life saving.
Yeah.
We do our best.
Right. And so what ends up happening is another sergeant who is a newly promoted sergeant comes screeching in, balls to the wall, and he jumps out. And I'm standing over this guy putting pressure on, and he screams at Zach. And he's like, I need crime scene tape up. And Zach fucking runs from where he's at, goes to the trunk of the car, grabs crime scene tape, and crime scene that whole fuck. I was
Like
so
he
much
was running
fucking
the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Run,
There was crime scene.
I might as well have been a spider.
Yeah.
Because I webbed that shit. all
Yeah,
over.
he fucking straight did his job. So
And he's yelling, "Give that guy some medical attention!"
yeah, when he said, "Can I get some motherfucking medical attention here?" I was like, "God damn, couldn't ask for more. What are you gonna ask for?" So we'll have another story towards the end about our dealings riding two men in the most gnarliest dead body we ever had, at least in my career, and probably Zach's too.
Oh, yeah.
But we'll get started. So I got fucked up before you did.
Yeah.
And I think by the time in my critical incident was in 2012, I had already worked with your brother. When did you start? What year?
I started in 2000.
So yeah, I had already worked with him for many, many years by that time on the streets, and he had gone over to street crimes and I was over at gangs. So he was a street crimes detective. I was a gangs detective. So we had worked pretty much most of our career together
Yeah.
in multiple levels.
And you were on the same squad when
Yes.
when your critical incident happened.
I was on the same, we were on the same squad. I completely forgot about it. Took my breath away. So, Zach, if you could, can you kind of just start with like how, just your everyday dealings with me was I,
Oh, dude, I loved coming in because you were just all happy. You were ready to gung ho. You're like, dude, we're going down Longmore. We'll be in Longmore, bro. We're going to fuck up everybody that comes down Longmore because nobody rolling down Longmore is doing any good.
oh, fuck no, they were all felons.
So every day, it was just, you were either showing me magic tricks or we're out because we weren't beat partners. We were actually sister beats. So
Right.
yours was right next to mine. So we would sit on the border and cause trouble, basically.
Of course,
But it was
troublemaker.
Mass trouble.
Yeah. He's a, hey, bro, anything gang related, just call me. I'll take anything. I was like, sweet.
Yeah. Your brother was like, no paper? It's yours. This guy was the only one that could make a fucking shoplift gang related. He's like, this guy's a fucking gangster. Call Manny on the phone.
Yeah. I was like, he's got a tattoo over his eye.
Yeah.
Man, he needs to be.
Yeah. Like Zach, it says, I love mom. Gang related. Gang related. So we go ahead.
Do you remember the day that he had his actual critical incident? Was there anything of note?
I didn't get sent the call that he got sent. I was off on a different call. So I was really kind of dumb to the fact of what was going on. It was a child drowning. And it was so hopping. It was so hopping that day that,
It was just another call.
Nothing stood
Yeah.
out, right, in that day?
No, the only thing that stood out was, like you said in the last one, it was any unit to break in the city.
Yeah.
I mean, we had guys
Huge.
coming. Yeah. So going back, just overall before my critical incident, did you,
You were
see
cool,
anything?
motherfucker. We
Yeah.
get it.
No, I'm talking about. Let me finish. I'm talking about. Did you notice any changes in me along the way? Like
after the incident?
no,
or-
before. Like as we were coming up through our career, did you notice any?
No, dude.
Yeah.
You were the same every day. You just wanted to go out and get bad guys.
But I mean, there wasn't anything that was like. That's like I didn't go through a fucking window or anything halfway through the shift and tell you I wasn't sleeping or anything like that.
No,
No problems.
no.
So up until my critical incident,
I
just normal shit.
just a normal dude.
So after my critical incident, which I think that's what your sister was alluding to, I wasn't trying to say I sound cool. I'm just saying, did you notice anything that was like, you know how sometimes you meet guys and then all of a sudden you're like, this guy's just fucking off his rocker.
Yeah. Well, after the incident, the only notable thing, it was just like,
Death silence.
yeah. I'm sorry, I
Oh.
don't even know why I'm trying to get emotional.
You're going to start us all downhill.
Oh no.
And just so you know, I decided not to drink on Monday through fucking Friday or Thursday, and this motherfucker can't show up on Monday. So I'm drinking coffee. Taking it raw.
So basically,
Raw.
gather myself. So after the incident, and like I said, I didn't even know. All I knew was a child drowning. I didn't know what all it entailed. I just know that that's a bad situation.
Right.
But after the fact, it was, you're just different. You know, you weren't the happy dude.
Yeah. It was, for me, it was, I don't know. It was like a flame when I was like flickered out. Just, it was gone.
Yeah, you didn't want to be around anybody.
Yeah. It was,
Did you still show up to work? Like they made you come to work and you were doing something in the office, or?
yeah. But then, so they put me on light duty.
Wait, that day? The next day? How long?
Well, the next day is
I don't
when I went to
remember.
my sergeant and said I was going to kill the first gang member I saw.
The next day.
Yeah, and he was like, go to my office. I'm like, good idea. He's like, oh, by the way, take your gun about off. I'm like, yeah, that's another good idea. But so I was on light duty, but like you, I wanted to get right back
Yeah.
to work because, again, this is the compare and contrast. What he was seeing in me, I was seeing the complete opposite, right? I was seeing weakness,
Yeah.
shame.
Yep.
Like Zach said, we were always getting into something. If it wasn't coming in on a hot call, we were digging it up and getting into it.
Right.
And for some reason, when we rode 2-man, we got all the good shit.
Yeah.
Like burglaries in progress. You know, most people go and they're already gone. Zach and I would get there and they'd be coming out with bags of shit.
Yeah. And this was after like 30 minutes of the call holding. Were they fucking making lunch or something? In
Yeah.
there?
One call we showed up and the guys all, Zach, we pull up a safe distance away from the house and it had to be 30 minutes.
It was 30, 45 minutes.
Yeah. And, you know, we're like, they're fucking gone. Let's go
Well,
back
of
and do
course.
magic tricks. You know? Here comes fucking Tweedledee and Tweedledum. Like fucking the Hamburger, you know, fucking carrying sack of shit.
Yeah,
Next thing you know,
actually-
boom, we're in a foot pursuit. And, you know, when I'm only like 5'7", I'm 5'10", 5'10".
Really? You went from 5'7" to 5'10"?
Well, I'm thinking about when I'm standing next to your brother. So imagine that, a 6'5" white guy and a 5'10" Mexican running, right? And we're chasing a Mexican down the street, you know, and I'm like trying to keep up with him, and
He's fast.
he's fast.
He's fast
got
for a
long
big dude.
strides.
Yeah.
So everything was, like I said, we got into a lot of stuff, but all I kept thinking about was, what were they thinking about me? Right? Was I weak? Did they want me on that call? Was I going to break down? So that was the opposite reflection, but it wasn't their belief system, as you can hear from Zach. It had nothing to do with, I had put those beliefs on myself.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't think anybody even knew that something was wrong with you. Only the close people. You know,
Right.
everybody else was just like, they'd come up and, hey, where's Manny? Where's Manny? And I was like, I don't know. he was in briefing, but you're not
knows?
here. He's not here now.
He's there. He's hidden away somewhere before he murders somebody. So yeah, that was my belief system, right? The guys that kicked doors with and did shady shit with when we were in street crimes and gangs, and then all of a sudden now I can't function,
Right.
and that goes towards the stigma and the perception and misconception of what people are thinking about you.
Is that all? The only thing, like your squad mates? Obviously, your squad mates knew. No.
I think Zach and Amanda were the only ones that knew.
It took, it wasn't for weeks until they realized, because it wasn't my place to tell them,
Right.
you know, because I really didn't know what was going on.
Right.
So They just were like, "Where's Manny?" And I think it was because they're like, "We're taking calls in Manny's beat."
Yeah.
Where's
Yeah.
Where's
Right.
Manny? at?
Yeah.
You know
That's
what I mean?
that's what it always
Fuck
is.
no.
And that's what
Yeah.
it comes down
No
to.
one checks on you
Yeah.
until you're not there, and then
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And they're handing the paper, and they're like, "Where is this guy?"
Where is this guy at?
And so I would just say my back, standard my back.
Yeah,
My
because
back.
that was your thing. You never told anybody anything, right?
Yeah. But what was really difficult for me was not physically being okay and having to listen to the radio and hear these guys do things. That was killing me. That ate me up inside more than anything. Aside from the screams and stuff, I was struggling with not being able to be out there with them. And then what I thought their perception was of me.
Well, yeah, but they didn't know anything, so you made it all up in your head. For
Yeah, well,
sure.
it's totally made up in my head.
Yeah.
Well, and so like Zach and Amanda knew, and Sean knew I eventually, but even then, my whole part of my whole reason to get back to the streets was your brother and my squad. Because I didn't physically have anything wrong with me,
Right.
and then I started to drum up these imaginary thoughts of impressions. Your brother never made me feel that way. Zach never. He never made me feel like I was weak or less than, like, ever. But for some reason in my crazy head, I thought, man, he's not just him, but everybody else is probably thinking he's fucking faking, right?
Well,
Because
wait, why you say that?
And-
What was your thought on PTSD to
Let me
begin
tell
with?
you, yeah, that's kind of.
Yeah.
And honestly, all the people I've talked to at work I think that's everybody's perception, because I don't know PTSD, but my first thought of PTSD was, these dudes just don't want to work.
Yep.
Yep.
Right.
That's
That's what
exactly.
everybody that's what everybody thinks.
Everybody
I was
thinks
there
that.
too.
I
and
did
thought the same
too.
thing.
And everybody I talked to said this, said the same thing. It was like, hey man, just get F back into your car and get out there and shag calls,
Yeah.
because that's how we're programmed.
yeah,
Yeah.
You know?
but we know different. Mainly because I would hear it while I was there. Somebody had retired, Nate. But see, I saw my partners go through it. Nate went through it. So I knew it was real. I just didn't think it would happen to me. It's kind of like getting shot. You're like, oh shit, that guy got shot.
Well,
Never
I
happened
think
to me.
that's the difference is because you guys were close, then he now has an understanding once he realizes what's going on, he then thinks, oh yeah. After the incident, once you realize what happened and see him different, do you think he's fucked up? Like truly, do you think he was fucked
Oh
up?
yeah, truly I do.
Well, yeah, but he was just struggling telling you the difference between what I looked like before and what I was like after.
Yeah.
Even the people that I did work with for years have told me part of the reason they didn't reach out was because of my own silence. They didn't know until, a few years later that I was gone.
Well, I think we think once we're out, in our heads, we were so important to the streets, and
Yeah.
we're so important. We're so important. Everyone misses us, and everyone feels the pain because we're not out there. No one's like, yeah, this bitch, she ain't coming back. So that,
Well, there were some people that left and you were like, fuck, but we lost that guy. It's addition by subtraction at that point. We get one guy back is better. But for me, it's still, I had a hard time even coming back because I still didn't want to face these guys.
yeah,
You know what I mean? I'm like,
Oh,
fuck, are they
believe me.
thinking that they're going to coddle me?
yeah,
And it wasn't something that I could, it wasn't even something that I could express to them. The best part about what they did, because only after my critical incident, there were only 2 people that genuinely reached out. Other people reached out because they wanted to know when I was going to come back and take care of my beat.
Yes.
But Zach was only one of 2 people that actually truly reached out and checked on me and came and him and another guy, Pat, one day called and said, we're coming down. We're going to be in Phoenix and, we're dropping a prisoner off. Let's meet up for coffee. They didn't have to do that shit. You know what I mean?
right.
In fact, they probably would have gotten in trouble if you had a dickhead sergeant, but fucking who cares? But that's the kind of stuff that we need because like I said, I'm just perpetuating that lie. You know, and they didn't give me any reason to believe that they thought I was less than them. And I would still.
Well, but you never came back to the street, right?
I did.
You did come back
Yeah.
to the street?
He
Okay.
did. That was.
Well,
Well, let him finish
I
because
was
he's
going to say whatever
I
he's
don't
going
want
to
to
say.
laugh. I'm not trying to laugh about it, but when he showed back up, because I still don't think that most of the people knew what was going on with you. It was me and maybe, like you said, Amanda.
Sean.
So when you showed back up to work, I was like, what's going on, buddy? And you're in briefing, just different, but I'm like, you're working today? He's like, yeah, working. So we go out and do our thing, and not a peep. Don't hear Manny on the radio. Don't hear this. Don't hear that. Next thing I know, I don't even know how many days it was after that where radio silence, and then he disappears off the CAD, and Manny's gone. And all I know is he was watching this building, so I got over there to relieve him, and he was already gone, just out.
So do you know now what happened? Like for that?
For that, yeah, he was.
Because he told you?
I think he did. Yeah, you did tell me, but it was. They were doing something. They found a stolen vehicle. They chased it.
Yeah.
Blew out all the tires, and they were waiting for a warrant on this car. And I can't remember what they were. They were putting him through some bullshit, just like everybody else.
Right.
Just like every detective and gives you bullshit.
Yeah.
So I think he just got to his point, and he was like, "I'm done. I'm out." And I don't know if he called Sarge and was like, "I'm done." But he disappeared from the map, and I went to relieve him, and I was like, "Where's Manny at?" I thought Manny was here too. I was supposed to relieve Manny. He's like, he left like 10 minutes ago. I was like, gotcha.
Yeah. So I don't know if I ever told that story, but so the story he's talking about was I had been back to work and I was getting kind of reckless. So even though he wasn't hearing me on the radio, I was actively going out and chasing people
Without calling
and not
anything.
calling off traffic. Like I would just fucking recklessly, and another officer actually pulled me aside and knocked it off. And I was like, whatever, dude, but on this particular day, I was working patrol and street crimes. Some detectives, when you're on street crimes, you have a certain objective, and they were doing surveillance. When you're doing surveillance, your whole job is surveillance, not running plates in a parking lot.
Oh,
right.
So
here's here's this fucking person that should never be a detective, who's on surveillance and bored, and he's like, "That looks like a shitty car," and he runs it. And the plate comes back stolen. Well, he's on surveillance.
He can't do anything.
He can't
about
do
it.
anything. So he gets on the radio and calls my lieutenant and says, I got a hit on a stolen vehicle. Can you send patrol out here? Well, we're a senior squad. Most of us have been booted out of the best fucking specialty units because we're too fucking crazy. They're like, you guys are dangerous. Go back to patrol and do something safe. So we just had a fucking motley crew of a squad that was just seasoned and peppered and...
You know what they called us, right? The land of misfit toys.
Our sergeant couldn't even maintain us. Our sergeant came in one day and he's like, listen up, guys. From this point forward, you guys are measuring car accidents like you learned in the academy. You're like, yeah, sure we are. And then I hear someone in the back, suck it. Needless to say, we never measured an accident, no matter how hard he tried. But what ended up happening was that guy calls the lieutenant. I was the only available unit at the time.
Oh, so you got sent to clean up somebody else's mess that
shouldn't have been fucking running those plates.
Yep.
Well, when I got there, I confronted the detective and I'm like, why the fuck are you running plates anyways? And my anger was already through the roof. My anxiety was through the roof. My blood pressure was through the roof. So it was just like fucking throwing a match in a gasoline can. And, he's like, well, what do you want me to do? I said, your fucking job, surveillance. Don't generate paper for me, motherfucker. And my blood pressure got a little high. And Amanda shows up because she had been, so Amanda was kind of like the hover around me. And then I had like Amanda around me. And then I had these guys around Amanda, like a buffer.
Amanda was my buffer too.
So, and
Thanks, Amanda.
Yeah, I love Amanda to death. She flies under your flag. Let's just call it what it is. And
I don't know what he's talking about.
But are you a pirate?
So she doesn't take a lot of shit. So she shows up and she knows what's going on with me. And I'm yelling at the fucking detective. And I must have scared him because he called my lieutenant and tried to get me in trouble.
Of course.
But by this time, my fucking blood pressure was already, it was over. And Amanda's like, you don't look well. And I said, I'm not well. I can't feel the right side of my face. And so she...
Oh, is that the day you went to the hospital?
Yeah. So she calls my sergeant, and my sergeant calls me and says, we're sending an ambulance. That's the last thing you want.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
After I just told you all the shit I'm embarrassed about, you know, so I just told my sergeant, I have lights and sirens too. I'll drive. And he's like, your liability, don't drive. And I'm like, I'm driving to...
I'm already there, Rich.
So I'm driving to the hospital, and when I get there, I walk in uniform, and the charge nurse or the whatever nurse is, and she's like, hey, officer, how can I help you? I'm like, hey, I might have a little problem. I can't really feel the right side of my face, and it's kind of numb. And she's like, okay, I need you to fill out this form, and I need you to fill out this form. And because we're rule followers,
We're like, okay.
I was like, okay, sure. So I turned around to go sit with the other fucking crackheads in the fucking ER. And the doctor, luckily for me, the doctor
was right
was
there.
right behind her. And he said, you know, nurse, what did that officer just tell you? And she said, he can't feel the right side of his face. And he's like, bring him fucking back now.
Yeah.
So they take me back. You know, the doctor's like, we need to take your blood pressure. They take off my vest.
You've talked about this one before,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
But I guess he just didn't know. I thought you knew.
It's been so long.
Yeah.
I knew something was going on, but I probably did know at the time.
So they check my blood pressure. My blood pressure is like 195 or 155.
Yeah.
I still think I'm okay. The doctor's like, we're going to hit you full of Ativan. And I'm like, whatever. And I just didn't want to call my wife because I want to get in trouble because I wasn't supposed to be. She's like, you're supposed to lay low. And I'm like, oh.
That doesn't work
See, I was minding my own business with Zach. And then all of a sudden, I'm in the fucking hospital. So they hit me full of Ativan, and I'm fucking greatest shit in the world. And I'm floating. And, you know, my wife shows up, and she's apologizing. But at that point, I knew.
You never went back after that.
After that, I didn't. And part of the reason was because the EKG guy that took my EKG, he's like, dude, you need to calm down. And I'm like, I'm fine. And when the doctor left, he told me, he goes, I have PTSD too. And I was like, how the fuck you're not supposed to know my chart? And he's like, if you don't stop, you're going to stroke out now. You won't make 40 or 41, whatever it was. And then I realized, okay, like at that point, I'll bet I already knew that I had pushed the limit beyond what I should have pushed it. Yeah. And I danced with death one too many times. I was like, oh, okay. And I just did. And at that point, I didn't have, I wanted to tell everybody, but at the same time, I didn't want to because I didn't want them to have that misconception of being, fake or you're faking it or you're lying.
Right.
And so that spun me into the spiral of alcoholism and drinking and anger because I'm now at home and I feel like I'm a failure at home, but I'm also a failure at work. Now my squad can't depend on me. My family can't depend on me. I'm in this fucking limbo. Yeah. Right. So every day at like 2:30, because we used to brief at 2:30, I'd be looking at the clock and I'm like, what the fuck am I going to do? Like, yeah. And then it would kill me if something popped up in Mesa, a shooting, something, because I couldn't get to these guys.
Yeah.
I mean, I suppose I could have reached out, but I mean, you don't really think, like my wife had said.
There was no way I was going to reach out because I would have shown how shitty I was. There was no way I could reach out to anybody because I was a shit show.
Well, I wasn't going to reach out that I needed help. I needed to reach out to make sure they were safe.
No, but it wouldn't have mattered. It wouldn't have mattered why why there was a need for reaching out.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't. I needed to stay in my little bubble. And
yeah. And then there was like a whole slew of shit that ended up happening after that. So like once I was going through them and battling the city and going through that, I got woken up by my wife. Brandon had been killed. So I'm waking up to this thinking I should have been there. You know, I wasn't there. Brandon and I were pretty close. So all these things were just rolling off. And the more it rolled off, the further and further and the more distant I got. And then I just went into the bottle. The more I went into the bottle, the more the demons told me what I was believing was true. And
Go ahead.
I was going to say, and you believe it because you don't have anyone telling you otherwise.
Yeah.
I mean, I had doctors. Doctors were like, your friends don't think like that. I'm like, fuck you. You're not a cop.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just couldn't believe him. No, if my wife told me or whatever, I couldn't bring myself to face them or even check on them because I felt like I wasn't worthy of checking on them at that point. I had failed them.
Yeah.
Right. I had basically quit.
Yeah.
Which was not an option in my mind, but it wasn't. It was gonna be a detriment that I was gonna die and then quit, right? But it was the other way around in my mind. I quit first,
Right.
and then there was nothing worse in my mind than to quit on these guys. That drove me insane even more as time would go on and go on. And I mean, Zach's really the only guy that I talk to besides Sean now, but. That I talked to because, I mean, we've been through a bunch of shit together. So this was the hardest.
It was, I don't know how long after your incident was, but it was before mine. And I don't know what we were doing, something, and your name came up, and I don't even know what we were talking about. And he goes, oh, that dude's fucked up. And I was like, what do you mean he's fucked up? But I didn't, I was like, whatever, you're stupid.
Yeah, the heart, for me, it was I took it to a whole different level of paranoia when it came to what the belief system was. And it made shit sense. And even looking back, it even made more shit sense because it wasn't really fair for me to think that your brother should have reached out or somebody should reach out because what the fuck do you say to that? You know what I mean? What do you say to you're looking at them?
Were you nervous to reach out to him?
Yeah, I looking back, I honestly don't, because I didn't know what was going on. I don't know what's going through his issue, so I was concerned.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to see anything happen to him.
You didn't want to see anything. You didn't want to see the bad, right? So did you avoid him?
A
little bit?
I probably,
a little bit?
Yeah. I probably didn't contact him as much as I should have.
He didn't avoid me at work.
No, I'm not saying at work. I'm just saying
Right.
after the fact when when you're sitting at home. Because we don't realize nothing's happening for us on the couch after things happen to us. We're not doing anything, but everybody else's life is still going. They're still doing their 10, 12 hour, whatever the shift ends up being. So, because I think that we get pissed that people don't reach out. Well, our shit's slower, but theirs isn't. Like, they still got...
I didn't get pissed that he didn't reach out. I mean, I knew right away that the phone works both ways.
Yes.
And it was my fault for not reaching out as much as I should have. Because remember, at that point, my family was taking the brunt of it.
Yeah.
It wasn't until years later that I realized that there's ways to circumvent those issues. A lot of that could have been alleviated both ways, I think, if Zach would have been nosier.
Yeah.
And I would have been more open.
Yeah.
I think it would have subsequently made things easier because there was no bridge. There was no bridge between PTSD and, the people that are crazy and the people that aren't crazy.
Yeah.
And it does work both ways. It's not just one person's fault. I mean, I had an officer call me 4 years after I retired, and he's like, dude, I had no idea you retired. And I was pissed off, dude. I was pissed off. I was like, how the fuck? They put your goddamn name in a newsletter.
Well, did they put his name in it? Do they put your name in a newsletter when you go out with PTSD? No.
You know what? I don't remember seeing it.
I don't think they do. You just disappear. So, don't expect. That's what I'm saying. We think we're the shit.
Yeah, and like I said, so when he called me, I by that time was in a better spot. And I told him, and he broke down. And he apologized. And then I felt like a fucking asshole for making him break down because I didn't tell him.
Yeah.
I didn't tell him. So
Yeah.
really, like some people would say, like, I told people, well, my best friend is Zach. I'm just not his best friend because he doesn't know he's my best friend, right? And so that's how in my mind. Wait, man, he's your best friend.
Thanks, buddy.
So that's how we, that's how I was thinking at the time. So,
Right.
but yeah, I mean, it's good to. I mean, it's humbling because some of that was my fault. I would say a
Right.
good portion of that was my fault.
Well, it was all my fault. Like, because I isolated, because I had so much shame.
Right.
But even if the phone rang, I'd be like, yeah, I can't. My mom's calling again. Gloria, you need to talk to my mom.
So what
Because I
about? So you saw that with me. What about the dysfunction with your sister that you didn't know?
Yeah.
No, I knew there was dysfunction to begin with because we come from a really odd.
She was already fucked up.
really oddball family. I mean, it's
It's not normal, but it's normal for us.
yeah. But looking back on that whole thing, we were dysfunction anyway.
Yeah.
And we tried to prior to her incident. We tried to come back as a unit.
Your family, you mean? Do you remember that?
I don't even know what he's talking
Yeah,
about.
she's looking at you like you're fucking out of your god. You're the only sane one here, Zach. And
Maybe,
what world do you live in?
Hey, guess who needs therapy now?
No, there's one over here.
I actually do need therapy. No, but yeah, I didn't talk to Tanya for a long time.
Yeah. That's
But it
why
had nothing to do with PTSD, right?
No, this was
No,
prior.
no,
Yeah.
no, no. This was other stuff. But that's why. What? So when did you know that I was out of work or that something was?
Oh, I had I had no clue. I'd have because we worked at different stations. So if you know the police department, half the time if you're at a different station, it's like a whole nother world.
Yeah.
You don't know what's going on unless you know somebody from there that says, "Hey, this is going on."
Yeah.
So I think Tanya was probably out 4 or 5 months, and I was at the jail, and happened to be like, "Hey, bro, what's wrong with your sister?" And I was like, "I don't know. What's wrong with my sister?"
What?
I was like,
Is she
"Don't-"
pregnant?
I was like, "Don't you know her? Yeah. She's all fucked up."
Have you met her?
Yeah. I was like, well, that's what they would say, like, what's wrong with your sister? I was like, what isn't wrong with my sister? Just kind of bullshitting around. And they're like, no, she's not at work. I was like, well, where is she? They're like, dude, she's at home.
It's your
I was
fucking
like-
sister.
I was like, why? Why is she at home? So
They didn't know though, did they? They didn't know anything?
they're
you
like,
hear
oh,
anything?
some shooting incident where,
Oh.
I mean, and I still, to this day, to be honest with you, because I've never talked to you about it,
Nope. We've never talked about it.
I still have no idea what happened.
Just watch a podcast. It's easier.
Just
Yeah.
from the people at work. But you know how people embellish stories and change stories. It's like the telephone game where you
Yeah.
hear one and then it goes to another, and then by
Yeah.
the time by the time Tanya said some things, when we got talking about it, we talked a little bit. Well, I mean, not a bunch, but she would say shit, and I'm like, well, that ain't what I was told,
Right.
So, but I was a big.
Oh yeah.
With my sister, I was a big proponent of, just get back in the car and fucking
Right.
go to work.
Well,
But
yeah.
that's your sister, though.
Well, yeah.
And
I'd
it
probably
was,
say that to my brother.
and I feel bad because I kind of put it, I kind of made me look like a dickhead because I'm like, hey, you're putting our name,
Oh, you're making
you're
a
our name
bad name
look
for
bad.
us. Yeah.
Fucking Zachary's don't do that.
Right.
We don't go out like, and I'm just being honest. So
You're a
we're not.
dick.
Yeah. Just get your ass back in the car.
Yeah.
And fucking take calls.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what we do.
Right.
And that was totally
Not
what I should have done.
right.
Well, but you
know.
didn't know either. You didn't know because you never were told the story, right? You never
Yeah.
knew, so you were just like,
And I would just get bits and pieces from my parents, My dad would call me and be like, what's wrong with your sister? And I was like, why do people keep asking me about my sister? I was like, I don't know. So he would say, and I don't know what, Tanya doesn't know this, but he called me one day and he was like,
oh God.
uh, he's like, hey, can I just ask you about your job? I was like, yeah. And he goes, well, don't you go out and like people shoot at you and, people try to kill you, stab you, this and that. Yeah. Well, what's wrong with your sister then? What does she do her job?
Like, because she didn't get shot at or what?
No, because that was the issue was I still kind of don't know what happened.
Oh, I got
So,
you.
What I'm saying is it was something about getting shot at.
Right.
You know, where we've been there, done that, where my dad was like, well, why can't she take it?
Isn't it
Just,
normal?
just do,
It's
yeah,
normal
just
to do
this
this,
is
be
your, this
around
is what
that,
you
yeah.
signed. Well, the exact term he uses, isn't that what you signed up for?
Right. Which we all heard.
Yeah. And I'm like,
yeah.
well, Dad, I don't really sign up for getting killed.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to do that, but it is kind of what you sign up for. You
Right.
know, you take the,
I said it.
Yeah.
We've all said that. That's what I was willing to die for the job.
you do.
Yeah. See, and that fucked me up because my whole career, I'm like, I'm gonna end up taking around sometime. Like, but what brought me down was not around.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
what really
because-
fucked me up.
I know, and I think it would have been easier
To take it around?
Take her out.
to be taken out by taking around.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. I mean, I don't know if you asked Josh, he took one to their face, but
Well, yeah, wouldn't want to take
Yeah.
him anywhere, but shoot
I
me in
mean,
my toe and then
yeah.
let me go out. Shoot me anywhere.
did you hear about your
Let me-
sister's
Let
act?
me shoot my own
She
toe.
lost her
Boom.
pinky toe. She's out for the rest of her
And
career.
really, she did that at the range on an AD. So
But we don't, and I get it. Those were the things. I don't think it's till now. I retired in 2012. Or actually, my incident was in 2012, and I retired in 2014. But now I see it fucking everywhere. People are like, "Oh, it's fucked up." I'm like, "You just figured that out?
what's fucked up?
It's part of the job."
Oh.
Like now, it's like it's circling back to where it used to be, where cops they get shot, and people are angry and stuff like that. But back then, there was no real light shed on what we saw. The way that we dealt with it was laughter.
Yeah,
That's why. Well, I mean, I was always a stupid guy making fun of people, but that's what helped me survive, even to this day. Is realizing that it doesn't always have to be serious at a serious time, but
Right.
at some point, for a long time, people are like, "You're retired, you're a cop. Why? One too many bad calls." That's all I would say, because there were so many.
yeah.
But then I started to realize, well, I'm probably not being fair to them, because your imagination can run away with that. You just have to tell people what it was. And it's like the incident envy.
Yeah.
When, somebody walks in like Josh and gets shot in the face, and you walk in and you're like, I hear screams.
Yeah.
Pussy. Right? That's
Yeah.
pretty much
Yeah.
essentially what would happen. But like when you talked about it on your previous podcast, when you said, I know Ernesto didn't get shot.
Yeah.
But my brain is not telling me that.
Yeah.
It's like when your arm falls asleep and you're like, move your arm. It's not moving. You're like, fuck, move your arm. That's what it's like, because you're trying to tell yourself, okay, I know she's not screaming anymore. I know Ernesto's still alive, but that's not what is replaying here.
Right.
And, at some point we have to just come clean. I mean, I had to tell my mom and dad, and,
Yeah.
Well,
I think it's over time talking about it, which is hard. The hard part, talking about it with your parents and letting everyone know that this happened and I'm okay, but I mean, I'm not what I was before, but I'm okay, and I hope to get to the point where I'll be even better. I don't even know why I started that.
says the woman who's
Yeah.
wearing a shirt with her breast out.
I don't think
I'll get
she's
better.
okay.
So,
Boobs.
Veronica, you're quiet over there, oddly quiet.
Yeah.
Your dad
Yeah.
was a cop, right?
Right.
What was his? Did he?
I didn't tell him until I left the PD. So I had gone a whole year going through it, and he didn't even know I had already quit when I finally told him.
You were quit a year. He still thought you were working.
No.
Oh.
I quit. No, I was probably gone like a month, and then I obviously had to tell him. Like, he would show up, and I was still at home. Like, why aren't you working? So I finally just had to, and I knew I wasn't going back. So what was I going to say to everybody? So I just had to tell him. But I mean, I embellished the shit out of it, and he didn't ask any questions. He knew something, but he didn't know, and he didn't ask anything.
He didn't?
He didn't pry. He didn't say anything. So it was like, for me, it was perfect because then I didn't have to talk about it.
Yeah.
Did you, when you say embellish, what do you mean? Like,
Oh, I lied about everything. My retirement, not taking, because he was like, did you get a medical? And I was like, oh, for sure. Wouldn't, like I totally lied because I didn't want him to worry about
fucking
me.
totally did a high school move on her dad.
Yeah, because I knew he would like, oh my God, what, like I still was so in the middle of being so unhealthy that I couldn't deal with him on top of everything else. I was still fighting workers' comp. Like I still had all these things happening that I just couldn't. And I was ashamed. My dad was a cop. He was fucking fine, right? Like he never
Says
had
you.
a problem. Yeah. I never saw, like he was just good all the time. So I was like, well, fuck, like that's not how we, like you're saying, like that's not how we go out. Like we're good. Like we can take care of things, and I'm the one that can't. Like no way, I took care of them after they retired. Like I was the one that was in charge of the family and making sure everything was running right. And now I can't fucking take care of myself. Like I'm not gonna tell my dad that, sorry, Dad, you're screwed the rest of your life because I can't even take care of me right now.
Yeah.
Did you ever tell him the whole story? Did you, or?
Well, so yeah, a couple years. So in 2017 was when I started to get a little bit better. Like I stopped taking the meds and I could think and feel and stuff again. And then we went through some shit with my older brother. He was a retired police officer himself, and he had PTSD. But his was like he was in a shooting. He was shot at and things, and then he was injured on the job. Severely injured on the job. So he had stuff and just a lot of physical disabilities that came with it. And so we were going through some family shit with him. And there was a moment where it was me, my dad, my brother's son, so my nephew, and then the younger brother. So I'm the youngest of four. So it was still an older brother, but he was the younger of the two, then my nephew and my dad. And we were discussing, like, what are we going to do with him, right? And, like, so my dad knows I'm not at the PD. I don't even know that most people in the family knew I was not a cop anymore. And so we're sitting there, and they're like, okay, what are we going to do? And I can see that people are looking to me like, well, you're still working. Like, what do we do? And so I remember, like, just blurting out, like, to my dad, like, Dad, the shit I've been going through, like, because of this, like, he's going through the same fucking stuff. Like, you got to give him some credit for that. Like, he's not just trying to be an asshole. Like, he's going through shit. And I said it, and my brother looked at me, and my nephew looked at me, and my dad just kind of sat there, kind of humbly just sat there like, fuck. Like, he gets it now, Yeah. And so, but still nobody ever asked me any fucking questions about it. They were just like, oh, what the fuck is she talking about? Like they just didn't know. And I kind of left it at that. But that's probably the most vocal I had ever been about it to the family. And since then, nobody asks, nobody questions. I mean, like they all see my shit on Facebook and stuff. Like I'm very open about it.
You're open in the open, but not
like this.
Yeah.
Whoa, like this, no way. But I talk about it from beginning to end, like everything, like, everything we talk about, I say it, put it out there all the time. But to your face, like my family's face, like they would never ask me. I would not, and I don't know if it's just a pride thing. Like it's just Mexican family. Like we just don't do that. So I think that's kind of part of what it is. And I'm really good at faking, so I don't
running.
Yeah.
You're really good
so
at running.
I avoid everybody. So if I'm not well, like I just don't go to my mom's and see everybody. I'm in the valley. They're all down in Casa Grande area. So I had the luxury of distance.
Yeah.
They didn't see me every day. They didn't talk to me. Like only if we had family events or whatever, I'd show up and drink the shit out of everything like I normally. And I was normal because I was the drinker in the family anyway before. So if I was drinking there, it was normal. They didn't know I was drinking to mask anything.
Yeah. So Veronica says it's okay for me not to talk to you about it, so I'll text you my incident later. And then we'll just never talk about it. Okay?
Okay.
It's
No,
totally,
that I did.
It's totally
I
okay.
always disclaim, like, don't do anything I did throughout this process because I have fucked up
Zach
from beginning
sticks to
to
the
end.
agenda that, hey, if you sweep it under the rug, it doesn't matter. Just put it over there. Put it in the corner over there and forget about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was, I think one of the things that when I was initially when I went through therapy, my doctor wanted me to address the shame and embarrassment, right? And I struggled with my family. That was really hard. But another hard one was, Zach's going to remember this, but when I was in the thick of my shit, I was so fucked up. And I had, when I got in a car accident, I got pinned in the car. And I was already fucked up and I was a mess. And my wife had to go get me from the hospital, and then I left my car. And this is why when we talk about like social media and I post the funny shit and she posts the serious shit, is because one of the things that Zach and Amanda did that made it, even just those moments that were like the worst that you could be in, these fuckers would find something to do to send me to make me realize I'm still okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so that was their attempt at reaching out to you and trying to make you laugh, I'm sure, because I'm sure it's something stupid, you know. I guarantee
Well, my
it.
car, when I got pinned, I left my car at the station. My wife had to come pick me up at the hospital. And so at I think I was in the accident pretty early in the shift, but we were working late swings. And I'm sitting there and I'm fucking PTSD, freaked out. And now I just got cut out of a car that I had been pinned in. And I'm thinking to myself, this is fucking miserable. And my phone goes off and it's fucking Zach. And he sends me a picture, my car. So I drive a 2013 Scion Slammed. I slammed it like a cholo.
Yeah, you did.
And I get this picture on my phone, and it's Amanda bent over my car, the hood of my car, with Zach behind her doggy style.
Oh my God.
So there's a 6'5" white guy bending over a lesbian on the hood of my car at the worst possible time. And that's, like I said, those are the moments that make a huge difference. I get emotional because no one really knows when you're bad. Like in your mind, you're all fucking hunkered down and paranoid, and like Zach said, you just stay quiet.
Right.
And they're like, oh, he's just tired. But you're already in your mind, and the demons are there. And then you get that fucking text message. I still have that fucking picture at the best time. That's why it's important that, you don't always have to ask. Zach, I think it's kind of like an unspoken thing between me and your brother. Like if I'm messed up, kind of like you and me, I don't have to call and say I'm fucked up.
Right.
Like he just kind of gets the vibe that I'm fucked up, and then he'll say something stupid, and then, we move forward. But before we get ready to wrap up, real quick question, not to put Zach on the spot.
Oh, shit.
But so why not during that time, after her critical incident, everybody was asking you over and over again, why not reach out to her?
I don't know.
Was it?
If he thinks that I'm making the name look bad,
But I don't think he believed that. I don't think he believed that.
Were you mad at her? Were you
Well,
upset?
Honestly, it was probably pride.
Yeah.
Pride. You were pride.
Pride for. I don't know. I don't know how to explain.
For me, I think it's the same reason he doesn't reach out to me. You don't know what to say.
Yeah.
The fuck do you say to somebody like that?
Yeah.
I think it would even be harder for me, in my opinion. It would be harder for me to ask a sibling or family member what's wrong than a friend.
Yeah.
For me, at least. Because I don't know what to say to a friend.
Do you
but-
have that expectation that maybe if there was something wrong, she would have come to you?
Well, like I said, going back to our family, it's not something that
we don't
we
talk
don't, we
about.
don't talk about emotions. So
That was my family was the same way.
I think it was more of she can deal with it. I don't want to be involved in it. Kind
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
kind of that thought.
Because he was still working too, so he doesn't want to have, whatever something on his mind that something's wrong with me and still have to go to work. And I don't know.
Yeah, we just don't talk about stuff like that. You know,
Yeah.
And same thing like at my house. Nobody still brings anything up. Nobody asks anything. I did notice after that conversation that, like my older brother, or he's the younger of the two, but the one that didn't need assistance, that brother, he ever since then has treated me different. Like all of a sudden he stepped into big brother role, and he's just always like checking on me. Just nothing like outright like, hey, are you fucked up today? Like nothing like that. Just sweeter. Like he'll hug me more, or just the tone in his voice is different.
Right.
And that changed, because he used to just be like an asshole big brother in a funny way, like just picked on me and whatever. And now I don't get picked on anymore. Like he's just softer with me, you know?
Yeah.
He's like, oh, now you want to be big brother. I'm only fucking 50.
Yeah.
45 in a few weeks.
We round up here.
Thank you.
We round up.
We round up.
Well, anything else you can think of?
I don't know.
Did all that make sense to you?
Yeah.
No, is it so now that you've we've done this? What are you feeling now? Like, is it awkward? Is something now that you guys will talk about more, or is it still like, we'll wrap today up and be done?
Yeah. And honestly, I kind of want to know what went on, just because of all the different stories that I've heard. I've probably got 20, 30 different versions of. I even went to the other source, which was Ernesto, and said, I just happened to see him at the jail, and I was like, hey, man, can you just kind of tell me what happened and
What did he say?
what's going on?
Yeah, what did he say?
And he just kind of,
Nobody wants to spread my business. I get
well,
that.
he just skirted around the thing was hey, people handle things differently. You know, you handle something different than I would handle something. And so he just kind of skirted around. So he never really told me, hey, this is what happened. It was, hey, some shit happened. He goes, I'm not worried about it because I just had a new grandson.
Yeah.
So I was on a different plane than your sister was.
Right.
You know, the whole nine there. So I don't know. I still, it would be, I don't know if I want to talk about it.
Well, even if you don't want to talk about it, you can watch the podcast and hear it, or at least let your old lady. And did you listen to the podcast? Not yet.
No.
It's rough.
Mm-hmm.
It's rough.
I don't know if I would. I don't think this is how I think he's going to answer this question. I don't think he's going to say that I'm different than I was before because I hide it. Mm-hmm. Do you think I'm different?
The only difference that I could point out is you seem to be more angry.
Well, that's
There you go.
true.
That's an obvious difference.
Other than that, she's Tanya.
Yeah.
You know, that's how my sister's always been. But it just seems that she's
Because when it happens, I
a very angry
close in
person.
and no one's going to see it.
Yeah, and that's exactly
Wait, did
how
you
I
tell
was.
him about the incident at the dump?
Yes.
Okay, so you're aware of it.
And I've told that to everybody
Yeah.
I meet.
Don't tell my business.
I think that
I
one's
think
funny,
it's just
so.
harder for family members to discuss that. And then you compound, it didn't happen to him in the same career or vice versa, right?
What do you mean?
He didn't get fucked up in the same career you got fucked up in.
Yeah, just like I was saying with my
Oh.
dad.
Like
I
her
was
dad.
What
Oh,
the
I
fuck?
see what
How
you're
come I'm the failure. He's fine, you know.
Yeah, but it's funny because I see it all the time when guys and gals retire, and then I see them, and then what happens? Exactly what I saw your brother when I saw him the first time. I'm like, oh, you fucking grew a beard out. Oh, you ain't getting off the couch. Fuck. That sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Right? It's just an evolution process. Yours just came quicker. But I don't. I've thought about if my family members my close family members were police officers and they weren't fucked up, that I wouldn't I'd be thinking the same thing. Like, how are they going to understand me because they're not fucked up? And then I'd go back into the hole of, well, I must be fucked up because they're not fucked up.
Right.
And then vice versa. He's probably thinking it's not my business to ask because that's the way we were raised, and she'll deal with it.
Yeah.
Which isn't any fault of either one of yours. It's just, you know, it takes it to a totally different level. I was worried about seeing your brother on the podcast not breaking down. And he was breaking down, and then I'm breaking down right now. So I can't imagine a brother and sister, or brother and brother, or sister and sister trying to have that conversation.
Well, yeah, I wouldn't want to have that conversation. I can feel it. Like I can feel.
You're running.
I can feel it right now.
She's
that-
like, let's talk about something else.
Yeah.
I do. Don't look at me. I do want to hear the stories that you've heard about what really happened, because I'm sure they're crazy.
You don't need to hear that shit, because it's just
kinda know.
all it does is piss you off, and you're already angry as it is. You don't need to be more angry.
And I'm not going to tell
You're
you.
Yeah.
gonna start making phone calls. Fuck you for saying this.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
you're gonna go off.
Yeah, I'll be like, who was that motherfucker that
Yeah.
told you that? Yeah,
Right.
It's
that's
just
true.
it's not worth your time to hear the stupidity.
Yeah, and you've come so far. Like those are backward steps.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not worth it.
But
But
you're right, Veronica.
It's
and,
the
and
mom.
I would venture to say that when he does hear the story, whether I tell him or whether he watches it,
Yeah.
he's probably going to be like, fuck, they made it seem so much fucking like to this extreme level of craziness. But
Yeah.
knowing your story,
It wasn't crazy.
well, no, but knowing your story is there were times, I remember one time Zach kicked the door, and the guy, when the door opened, the guy was standing there, and I was like, and when you first told me your story, that incident that Zach kicked the door came flooding back to me. The fear was that he was going to get shot. There was no gun, but when he kicked it, the door standing there for like 3 days, I kept processing, Zach could have got shot.
I got shot. Yep.
Because he's a big fucking target, 6'5", he can't miss.
Well, yeah.
Right?
When you take up
There
the
are
whole
some
funnel,
officers that would miss that.
when you take up the whole funnel, like,
He is the fatal funnel. But yeah, I can, like I said, I'm glad you came. I mean, it was hard for me. And knowing all the things that I went through and sitting at the house and struggling with all that, and then, where we're at now, I mean, you still, unbeknownst to you, like your sister knows because she does all the time, you're just finding out now. Like there's times where we'll say jump online and I might be fucked up, or my wife will tell me, shouldn't you be playing a game with Zach or something? You're a fucking asshole right now. Go kill some people on Arma 3. And then it relaxes me down. It does a better job than the meds or the
Which part? Her calling you out, or you playing the
both. Well, because like we've talked before, there's what is it when you're coping mechanisms? That's what I use. The familiarity, like my son does it to me. Both my boys do it. All that is what I use to remember. Okay, I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm okay. It's not what I think it is.
right.
Right? Or I'm not going to run away and like Veronica doesn't just run.
Hey, I get lassoed back now.
Pretend. Oh, he's going to put you in your place. But yeah, I do appreciate you coming out. I know it was rough. You didn't have to do it,
Yeah.
but I do appreciate it.
I'm glad I came.
And at some point we can have a cigar without your sister, and I'll give you the rundown.
Okay.
Embellish like she did.
I'm gonna
so I
shoot it
feel
to him
better
straight.
about it.
But I did tell you before that I'd give you one last story for me and
Oh, shit.
and Zach. Some we can't talk about
Of
because
course.
the feds might be listening.
Oh, shut up.
But so there was this.
If they are, can they at least like us, subscribe? Like,
Yeah.
Whatever you gotta do.
Fuck it, fucking work undercover
like,
and get
come
those
on.
guys in pistol. Subscribe. So it's we were on the same squad together, and every opportunity we had the chance to ride together, we did, because we actually worked, unlike some people on the squad who just rode together and then did nothing.
Right.
This particular day, it was like August, right?
Oh, it was hot.
It was fucking hot. And in Arizona, when the monsoon comes, it just gets hotter and stuffier, and it was just miserable. And we were riding 2-man, and when you're a 2-man, you're not assigned to any particular beat. You're just kind of rolling around, cleaning up messes. And it was like, I don't know, like 5 o'clock in the afternoon, maybe, something like that.
Somewhere around there.
And we get a call, and the dispatcher kicks it out, and it's simple priority 1 call. Caller saying that there's a foul stench coming from somewhere in the trailer park. It's a trailer park. What the fuck did you expect?
Don't they smell like that anyway?
Yeah.
And so we're driving. I think I was driving. And we get to the trailer park. It's not in our fucking beat, by the way. And it was in Amanda's beat.
That it was.
And we come into it's pretty much the projects inside the projects. So the trailer park is the projects. And we roll in there. We like get maybe 2 trailers in and we immediately smell it.
Yeah.
Right? I'm like, oh.
We all know what it is.
The death smell.
And we, here's the fucking maintenance guy. Hey, I think it's coming from this trailer. So we park and we get out and we look. We're just like, oh my God, somebody's fucking dead in there. Like we just knew it. It had already rained. It was muggy. And we walk up to the trailer. And as soon as we walk up, I know. I've never thrown up in my career for all the shit we saw. And me and Zach are like gagging. And in Mesa, as in many departments, seniority rules. Well, I only have like 6 months more than he did, but I had seniority.
You were like, oh yeah,
Wow,
bitch.
I'm pulling the seniority card. And so this trailer, I'll just lay it out for you. This trailer's, I think it was a double wide, right? Had a patio on the side, right? Like
It's single wide.
Single
with just a cover.
okay. You cover cardboard, yeah. And I'm like, oh, somebody's fucking dead in there. So I pull seniority and we're trying to figure out, and I'm not just going to leave him hanging, right? But I get up to the window. Closer I get to the window, I'm like, oh, man. And so I'll let Zach tell his side what happens when he gets in there.
Oh no.
No, so we roll up there and you can see the flies all over the window, the telltale sign that somebody's dead. So on one of the windows is mounted one of those air conditioners that is not on in August.
In August.
And next to that is a cardboard. It's taped to cardboard over this window. I was like, well, hey,
There's the entrance.
this is the way we're going to get in here. And I popped that cardboard off and I lost all.
Yeah. That's when I'm laughing.
Back to the car I went, and I was like, I can't do it. I can't do it. You got to go. So somehow, and I don't even recall how, somehow we got in the window, and this dude was just soup.
Well, before you get that far, we didn't see him at first.
Wait, did you guys both go through the window, or does somebody open the door for the
somebody
other?
went to unlock the door.
Yeah, somebody went in to unlock it. But so we didn't see him peering. Like we're peering. We're like, where's this guy at? So somebody gets in. And I wish we could recreate seeing a 6'5" white guy climbing over laundry in the kitchen of this single wide trailer. And we're gagging. And we'd like go in and then run out to get air.
Yeah.
Our sergeant brings us the Vicks,
Yeah.
and we've got it in our noses. We've got it across our lips
In a mask.
in a mask, and we're trying to get in there. And I see Zach, and he's like sprawled out in this awkward.
Yeah. Well, the issue was the dude's on the floor dead, but he's blocking the hallway, and we got to clear the back of the trailer, and so somebody's got to get across there. So I step over, and I'm Spider-Man in the wall, and all I could think to myself was, "Oh my God, I'm gonna fall on this guy," and then I'm probably gonna die myself because it was
He's gonna
so
blow
it was
up.
so disgusting. But I ended up some Circus Delay back there, cleared it, and lo and behold, 40 minutes later, Amanda shows up to take it.
This guy's
So who did throw up? You threw up? Did you actually throw up?
no, I didn't throw up,
Oh, you
but
didn't throw up?
I was pretty
were
fucking
close.
Did you
close.
throw
Like
up?
we were.
My nose and my eyes are running.
We literally we were hurting, and this guy was like melted
Oh yeah.
to the floor, right?
Yeah.
I've had
And it
one
was
of those.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was like, well, this is a black guy, and it was a white guy.
Yeah.
When I got his ID, I was like, well, this ain't the dude.
Yeah. And we were sitting, and it was like we couldn't just get, and it was like, ugh. And I'm on a gag now just thinking about that smell.
And then you had it in your clothes.
Yeah,
for the
and then
rest
we
of
just
the-
kept, and then we had to type the report, wait for the OME.
Yeah.
40 minutes. Here comes Amanda. Hey, you guys, can I take this from you? We're all, "Bleh, we already got it." So, see, it wasn't all bad. The career's not all bad. I mean, it was bad for that guy, but we were definitely sick, and it was still funny as fuck to see. I can't, in the projects, these guys are probably watching this guy like, this guy's a cop. Your brother's 6'5".
outside buckled
And for a
over.
while, not that he's out of shape now, but for a while he was in pristine shape. You remember that?
Yeah, I do.
I remember that guy. And that's about the time that he was. I was like, man, look at this buff guy over here. Looks like a male stripper, and he's. It was bad. So those poor people were like, this motherfucker can't handle it. We live in this every day.
Oh, jeez.
Okay, well, again, thank you, Zach. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
I do appreciate you specifically. You helped me out a lot. Even when we're yelling and screaming on Arma, you get shot first. So we have a tradition, Zach, when you're here. If you haven't watched, normally there's alcohol. But we say for everyone that's with us, even though you might not be fucked up, you may think you're not fucked up. But if I ask your wife, she'll say you're fucked up. It's just a little cheers for us, right? For the guys and gals that have gone through this, who've ridden it with us like you did with us, even though you may not think you were there, you were there. We toast to us and those like us, and Zach is definitely one of us. All right, we'll see you guys on the next one.
Later.